we now got to the point of starting to build a graphical dashboard. A graphical dashboard so our users can mint NFTs. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build now using our ReactJS server a mint dashboard. Very nice, very visually appealing, so then users can go onto our website and purchase or acquire NFTs. The intention is that once the user gets into the website, he can connect his wallet, his crypto wallet, and execute a mint transaction. That mint transaction, what it's going to do is just going to read our smart contract and execute a mint function. The mint function will basically request some crypto in exchange, and we are going to issue an NFT to that user. The user will purchase an NFT of our collection, out of our collection. Okay. So now let's do some HTML coding. Let's do some basic HTML, and let's incorporate Bootstrap. Now that we have Bootstrap installed, we can use Bootstrap as well to give us some nice GUI, some nice visually appealing GUI or graphical interface. Okay, so let's go ahead and start building that simple dashboard or NFT Mint dashboard, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's start. We're here in our ReactJS server, right? And we already developed this, and this is the output that we are currently seeing. Basically, that was our mint button that we previously did on video number 2, right? So now we want to strip all that, and we want to build a dashboard that users can go in and mint their NFTs, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do some changes here. So this is how React basically compiles the HTML inside a function, right? So we have a function. Inside the function, then we execute that that compile, which will build our website. Okay, so we got the first div, which is app, right? The next div, and this is the default one, we don't need this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this, right? Once I remove it, then you can see we're no longer using the import functions that we brought in, or the import libraries, okay? Now, what we need to do, we need to basically grab and build the objects. So the first thing we have to do, we have to build a container. So let's go ahead and build a container. Let's go ahead real quick. Let's type div class name. We call this container, right? So let's go ahead. Let's wrap this, right? And now we got a closing div bracket, but then we want to wrap inside the container the actual form. So what we want to build a form, and then the form will have the buttons, it will have the information, it will have fill in blanks, input objects, etc. Okay, so now what we need to do inside the container, we got to build a row. So let's build a row, and this one will be called row. Okay, we'll do the same thing. Now we have two closing divs. We got the container closing div, and then we got the row closing div. Inside the row, right, we are now going to build a form, because we want to have like a square type of form in which we inside can add buttons and all of our text and all the functions, okay? So now let's build a form. Let's go ahead and type form, right? We call the form, and then we say class. And this particular item, so class, basically, I'm just going to give some attributes regarding the sizing of the form, etc. So I'm not going to go too deep into it. Again, I suggest if you want to learn more about HTML, I suggest you go ahead and do some research and practice and understand HTML5, HTML4 styling, okay? So let's do some call. Let's make it LG5. This is basically the size, and I'm gonna modify this so you can see what happens on the back end and how the box expands or shrinks because of this command, okay? Now I'm gonna close this. Now we got the form. Now inside the form, this is basically our square inside the website. Okay, so now let's go ahead and first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna add a title. And let's put a header size number 4, and we can type this to be the Mint Portal, okay? We got a Mint Portal, and now what we can do, it's basically say, well, H2, no, you know what? Let me type H5, which is gonna be an even smaller size. And I can call this to be, please connect your wallet, right? So we're basically telling on the website, we're gonna have the title will be Mint Portal, please connect your wallet. Now, what should I expect? I should expect a button. Let's go ahead and use that Bootstrap button. And we're gonna say button connect wallet, okay? Now, so far, let's see what we got. I'm curious to see how this looks. So I'm gonna save it, and let's go back. You see that? Beautiful, huh? This is what we have so far. We basically build a Mint Portal, the title. We have, and this is header size 4 or header 4. Now we build another one, header number 5, which is a smaller size. And then we build a button that says connect wallet, okay? So next, class card, which is basically a small square. So let's go to div class, and we're gonna say, equal card. And now we're basically gonna call the ID, and don't worry, because I will be explaining to you each item once we're ready to call this onto the ethers and the web.js, okay? And we can set this to be the wallet address. So once it connects, this object will populate whatever output of wallet address do we get once we do the connection to the wallet, right? Okay, so, and now we need to do a label. We're gonna see it. Okay, so now we're gonna do label, and we're gonna say this is for a floating input. I'm not gonna go too much in detail of what this is. This is literally HTML. Basically it will show the output once it connects to the wallet and retrieves the value, right? But I'm not gonna go into details on this. This is literally HTML. So we're just gonna go and continue on with our configuration, okay? So then what we need to do is the following. We need to go ahead and say, in the floating input, we gotta say wallet address. So basically what that's gonna do, once it connects to the wallet, it retrieves the value and it shows, wallet address and then the value, okay? So let me go ahead and save this. Let's see how it's looking. You see, this is the input. So once it retrieves the wallet value, instead of wallet address, it will show the value there, okay? Next, yeah, we got that one. Now, we need to give the option to the end user to select how many NFTs they want to mint on a single transaction. You want to allow a maximum of X NFTs to be minted per transaction, right? So let's say you want people to be able to mint up to 5 at a time, up to 4 at a time, right? So you want to make a an input box in which the user can select the quantity of how many NFTs they want to mint, okay? So for that, we're just gonna add an input box and add the values, okay? So in this case, we're gonna call another object called input, right? So we do input. Now we are going to say type, and then we're gonna say what kind of input. It's a number, right? Because we want to say the amount or the quantity. And then we're gonna say name equals amount, right? So, oops, got a typo here. So basically the amount name will be referenced onto the Web3 configuration that we need to do, so then it can input that information, throw it on the contract call. So once I execute the mint function, it grabs the amount that the user input, right? So let's say the user wanted 5. Then once it hits mint, that amount gets called into the contract and does the calculation, and then it tells the end user how much Ether or how much crypto or whichever coin you want to accept to request that amount, so then they can issue the NFTs, right? So in this case, we're just typing the amount, and this will be a variable that then will be called on the contract. Okay, so default value. Now with default value, we want to say a default value is basically, hey, you start with 1. 1 is the minimum, right? And then we're going to say minimum equals 1, but then up to maximum equals 5. Okay, so now we're saying we want a minimum of 5, maximum of, a minimum of 1, maximum of 5. Okay, now I don't need to wrap this. I just need to close it using this this basically /. So I don't need to like add anything inside the input. I just want to close it right away. Now label. Now let me do the following. Let's type label, label, and then this is basically to tell the end user, hey, select how many NFTs do you want. So we're gonna say class name. And then we want to do some margins, but I'm going to do it after so you guys can understand what this is for. So for now, I'm not going to do it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to say label, and then we're going to say, please enter the, please select the amount of NFTs to mint. Okay. Now let's see how that looks. Let me save. Let's go to the web server. Now you see here, we have from 1 to 5. So now we have like an input selector in which the user can select how many NFTs does the user want to mint, okay? And you can see on the bottom, this is basically the label that we configure. Please select the amount of NFTs to mint, okay? Cool, let me add a dot here. Okay, awesome. Now what I want to do, I want to add the button, right? So we're going to add a button for minting purposes. So we're going to say button, and then this one will be mint or buy. Okay, so we got that button there. And now we want to tell the end user how much each NFT is. So for that, I can either add a label, or I can add a P, like a paragraph. In this case, I can just do a label. Let me go ahead and do a label. Okay, and then the label will be price. And let's say we want to sell each NFT for 0.06 Ethereum. Each mint. Okay, perfect. Yeah, price 6 ETH each mint. Okay, perfect. Label. Now let's see how that looks. Let me save it. Let's go back. Beautiful, huh? So now we have, we got this card object, right? And then inside this card, we got the amount. Let's select the amount, maximum of 5, and then mint. And then it says on the bottom, price and each time you mint. Okay. So next thing, let's make some adjustments to this. So let's add some gap between the Connect wallet and the card on the button, right? And I can call it style, right? And inside the style, we're just gonna do this, and we're gonna say margin button, right? So this will be the margin button of that Connect wallet button, and then we're just gonna colon. And we're gonna say this is 3 pixels. Let's see if that makes a difference. You see, it actually went a little down. Let's increase this to be 5. Do it again. Go back. Even better. Now we have we have a little bit more margin there, okay? If I want more margin, I can even go into the card and then say margin top, and then I can lower it even more. So I can go into the card, ID, wallet address, and then I can say style again. And then we are going to say, oops, I can say margin top, colon, and then we're gonna say 3px, right? So let's do a 3 pixels. And now we have an even wider gap. That looks way better. Okay, awesome. Now, let's go ahead and do the following. Let's build a nice colored box with this whole thing inside of it, okay? So for that, what I gotta do, I gotta go onto the form, and I have to basically say, I wanna have a border. Style equals close, and then border radius, right? And we're gonna say, well, let's do 25. And let's also do a shadow box, shadow. And this box shadow will be 1 pixel, 10. And let's add some color. In this case will be all white, or you know what, all black. 3, 6. This is hexadecimal. Look at that. Way, way better. So now we have a box shadow. Basically, those are the angles for that shadow. This is the amount, or the overall. And then the color black, it's basically hexadecimal 6 zeros. Okay. So that looks even better. But we have one thing that we still need to work with. We need to work with the top here, right? So we gotta either put a margin the same way we did with this inside. We have to do it with the top, okay? And same way goes to the bottom. You see here that there's a gap that we have to fix. So then this is like, it looks inside. It doesn't look like it's leaving the entire form. So what we're gonna do first, we are going to do a margin top here. So we can either do it inside the style bracket, or we can just call it in the class. And we can say margin top, and we're gonna say 5. Save, let's see how it looks. Look at that, beautiful, right? One last thing that we have to do, we have to go ahead and modify this, so then we have a clearance and the form grabs or covers the card, right? So we don't want to have this look like this, okay? What I can actually do is grab this label and take it out of the card. How do I do this? You see this closing bracket for this particular class object? I can grab this label and cut, and then let's put it after the closing. So then this doesn't belong inside the card, it belongs outside. And let me go ahead and save, and let's see how that looks. Beautiful. You see now? Now we have it outside, and now the actual card object inside, it's a little bit more properly aligned inside the form. So this is our base card, right? So what we're gonna do now, let's add some more visual appeal to it, because it looks very, very basic, right? So let me go ahead and do the following. Let's go ahead, let me first add a shadow here, so this look a little bit better. So for that, I gotta go under the card style, and let's call this box shadow, and let's do the same, 1xy 10px, and let's call the same. Let's say 0000, 1 0 more. Save. Let's see how that looks. Now we have some sort of a shadow behind the card. Let's make it a little bit less shadowy. You see now I lower the pixels on the overall, and now it looks a little bit cleaner. Okay, great. How can we style this with different colors? Color code this entire box. Let's change the shadow to be like golden, like gold. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go gold hex code, and let's grab that number. Let's go to the up here, this one right here, and let's change this to be that color. Save it, and let's see how that looks. Ah, you look at that? That's different color, obviously, but the background is white, so we can still do better. Okay, so we got that color. Awesome, perfect, amazing. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's bring this a little bit bigger. Let's call it 15. Let's go back. Now it's a bigger background. Okay, awesome. Now, inside, we want to change the color to something else. We can do a base color. We can do a gradient. Let's do a gradient. You know what? Let's do a gradient. Let's make it nice. So for the gradient, we got to do one thing first, and that is we got to update the CSS styling to add that style so that we can call it on the form. Okay, so what I'm gonna go to the app.css. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bottom, and this is the base one that comes by default on React, and then you can modify this to be the default colors and whatnot every time that you configure something in ReactJS. But for this case, I'm just gonna do a new style object called gradient, right? And it's basically, let's do this. Let's select background color to be, let's select a base background color. Remember, gradient is a mix of colors, so it's gonna look great. You're gonna see it now. So for that, I gotta say we want a bluish, I think 00. Let me find it real quick. DBDE. I already know the colors on top of my head. DBDE. Let's see how that looks. Oh, awesome! Yeah, this is perfect. So this like baby blue ish color. But now we want to build a background image. Again, this is CSS styling. If you want to learn more, this is not. Don't get discouraged. Let me tell you, don't get discouraged. This is not as hard as it may look. This is very simple. Most of the stuff you literally can copy and paste online, and you can build this like on your own. Like, don't get discouraged. This is very easy to learn. Okay, so 90 degrees, linear gradient, and then the first color in the gradient will be the same, DBDE at 0%. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, it's gonna be a pink. So it's FC 00FF. There we go. Awesome. And this will be 100%. Okay, and then we're gonna add a semicolon there. We're gonna close it, and then we're gonna save this. Now we updated the app.css, in which it has a new value of gradient. Then I can use that to call it in the form. So let's go back to the app.js, and right now this is the color that we have on the form. Basically nothing, just white. Now let's call the gradient and see how that looks. How do we call it? Let's go inside the form, and we're gonna type the first word here inside the class, gradient, and we're gonna save it and see how that looks. Oh, oh, that's beautiful. You know, we have to change the color on the font, so because black doesn't match. Oh, awesome. Let's go ahead and change the color of the font to be black. To be white. Let's change this to be white, okay? So you can do it globally in CSS, or you can call it per object. In this case, in the Mint Portal, I can also say class or style, And let's just do this. By the way, this is doing it. I would suggest you build a style object and then call it multiple times, so that you don't need to build every time a style for each object, because that will make the configuration and the rendering is going to be a little bit slower as you keep adding stuff. So you want to make sure that you build an object and you stick to that object and you call that across all your objects. Okay. So style, color. The white color, it's FF, all F. So, oops, I gotta put a pound 6 times F. Let me save it and see if that color is the one that we want. Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, now let's do it for the other ones, but for that we're gonna use the best command ever, which is copy and paste. So let's copy this style. Let's go to number 5. Let's paste, Control V. I always say that programmers, the only 3 keys that they need on the keyboard is Control, C, and V. That's it. Nothing else. Okay, so we got that. And now we have the Connect Wallet in white. So let me now grab this because we already have a style here. Spam. And now let's find this style on this one. And we gotta grab this whole thing. Copy. And let's go label style, color white, label color white, and finally label color white and save it. See how that looks? Ah, beautiful, beautiful, awesome. We can keep going and adding more stuff. I can add the font. I could change the font. I can add a different color on the background. As a matter of fact, this should not be like golden. We should do something else. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. I am going to change that color of that box shadow to be black. So I think it's going to look better. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Okay. Even better. That looks amazing. So there you go. This is a very simple dashboard. We coded this in a couple of minutes. Obviously, this is base. We can still do a little bit better. I can actually make this to be transparent, so it looks, instead of looking white, I can make it look transparent, so it's going to look better. In the next video, we need to understand how this will talk. When I click here, I should get our wallet opening and giving us the prompt to connect to our Web3 site. Okay, so now looking at that, you can see that it's very simple to do a very basic dashboard, but it still looks visually appealing. We can do way more styling, and that is up to you. You can go ahead and start researching and start tweaking around. This is all practice. Practice makes perfection. Okay, in our next video, we are going to actually grab those buttons and we're going to make them active. We are going to allow that button to open our wallet and ask to connect to the Web3 website. Okay, so stick around and don't forget to hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.